And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the Korean StarCraft League, week number 43. Welcome to the KSL. I'm, of course, your host, Live VIP. With me, I'm joined by my lovely plushies, by the people in the chat, and by this amazing screenshot. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It has been a while. It's been a couple of weeks, actually, since the last KSL. As a bit of a reminder, for those that are curious, this used to be a weekly tournament. Every single week, we would be live here with the KSL. But, unfortunately, this is, of course, a crowd-funded event. There is a Patreon, !Patreon in the chat if you want to help support this tournament. Unfortunately, you know, the support has been waning a little bit, but the show must go on. As a result, this is no longer a weekly, this is a bi-weekly tournament. So every 2 weeks, we have the KSL, and you know, the time has arrived here. The time has arrived for some Korean StarCraft League action. Again, the best of the best in Korea do face off here. Not just in Korea, though, but a big shout out to Astrea as well. As Astrea, likewise, despite being currently in the land of the Americas, is still competing in the KSL as well. So it's great to see. It is great to bear witness. And we're here to dive into these matches, to dive into these series. For those that are curious, this event was actually live 24 hours ago. 24 hours ago, this event, or actually less than that. Under 24 hours ago, this event was live, but unfortunately, or depending on how you look at it, I'm currently no longer in Australia. I'm not in the best time zone to actually cast this live anymore. So I'm going to be covering this via replays, at least until I do return to the land of the Australias. For now, from Bologna, we are going to be covering this via replays, and we have quite a number of matches ready for us here. Quite a number of quarterfinals matches. As you can see here, we have a bit of a PvP to kick things off. We have Astrea versus Classic to start. We have Nightmare versus Creator to continue, as you can see here. And then we will be getting into Dark versus Hon Mono thereafter in a ZVT. So we have a couple of PvPs and some Zerg versus Terran action thereafter. From here, we'll then be going on a short break after we wrap up these 3 series. And then we'll be diving into the semifinals. The semifinals and then the finals thereafter. So that's going to be the plan here for tonight. Going to be the plan for this evening's broadcast. There you go. So again, we're going to be starting things off with Astrea versus Classic, and then diving into the rest of our matches soon thereafter. And here we go. We have our first game. Game number 1 going to be on site Delta. Let's go. We are jumping on in. And again, Astrea has been very active in these tournaments. I did ask him 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago at this point, whether he had moved back to Korea, but no, that is not the case. He's still living in the land of the Americas, at least until IEM. He may actually be in the middle of traveling. IEM is in a couple of days. It's in a couple of days, so I'm sure he is getting ready for his travels. Astrea, alongside many of these players, will be a part of IEM Katowice in around 5 or so days. Let's go. Video frozen? Not frozen, Papi, not frozen. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of site Delta, we have our American Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Macherino Esports. It is Astrea. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Korean Protoss, the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. Let us go. As the PvP is before us, and I just realized we're loading into site Delta of all maps, so that means one thing and one thing only. That means we have some gate expands. Again, this is one of the few maps in the map pool. It's site Delta alongside Radis's Station that has a ramp leading into the natural base. As a result, this is one of the few maps where you can actually see some standard gate expand openers here all around. It is considered safe to do so, but just because it looks like a gate expand, it doesn't mean it will be. We can always still go into a 1 base all in. We can always still be hyper aggressive off of this opener. Oh, here we go. As for now, we do have, actually a bit of a variation here. We have Astrea opening up 2 gates. Very interesting. Okay, so a 2-gate opener here out of Astrea. Going into his Cybercore with a 2-gate opener, we have an abundance of gateway units to begin with. To kick things off, Classic behind this, no fear whatsoever. Opens up with a single gas geyser, goes straight into a gate expand, then into Cybercore. This is as economic as you can get here in a PvP, so a very greedy build by Classic. We'll see if Astrea can punish this. Looking at his vision, he hasn't scouted, just now going in with a probe, and he will soon confirm the timing. The timing of the Cybercore, the timing of the Nexus as well. He's now aware of how greedy Classic is being, and typically this would mean that Astrea has to be the aggressor. Astrea, he has to be the aggressor here. He already has 2 gateways. His expansion has been delayed. Classic confirms this as well with a probe scout. So really good movement here by Classic. Does confirm the lack of expansion, the 2 gateways as well, and we need a shield battery back at home. Stalker is on the way. We throw down the Stargate as a follow-up alongside the second gas geyser as well to help facilitate for that production. There's our shield battery. Hopefully the shield battery does finish up in time as the first zealot is about to arrive. Pro pushing forward. Stalker does make it out in time. And this zealot is going to take a lot of damage. Classic does fully wall off. Is going to be losing a probe. Meanwhile, additional Stalkers are on the way, and again, he's already got a couple of swipes in. Astrea, he will come out on top here in this fight. The shield battery, it's still a couple of seconds away. It's a couple of seconds away, and it will finish up in time. Does preserve that Stalker. We are holding. We're holding for the time being. We're taking a bit of hold damage as well. Ooh, on the Stalker of Astrea. Second Stalker does arrive, and Astrea is going to be forced back. So far, pretty good. Oh my god, does we even get a kill on a Stalker? Bit of miscontrol there from Astrea. Again, sticking around a little bit too long. He does bleed out some units. Behind this, we are going into our expansion. I'm a little bit surprised. I would have assumed that Astrea was going to go for a 1-base all-in. I would have assumed that we would have thrown down a proxy gateway or a 3rd or even 4th gateway back at home and just committed. But no, Astrea, he is expanding. He is trying to catch up. Astrea is strictly behind, though. That's the problem here, is Classic's already mining. Classic already has his natural base up and running. It's already getting saturated. Astrea just now getting his own up instead. Likewise, Twilight Council follow-ups here are quite similar between our 2 players. And we also add the Stargate opener of Classic. He has his Oracle, zooms towards the natural base, does confirm the lack of saturation. Is zoned away by the Stalkers. Nope. Oh god. I was worried I spoke too soon. We go do zone that Oracle away. Astrea going to be able to hold on to his 2 bases and is playing catch-up here when it comes to that probe count. Meanwhile, Blink is on the way for both players, for both Classic as well as Astrea. We do fan out our units here. Meanwhile, hello Classic. We throw down a pylon, we throw down a proxy gateway. Despite the economic opener, Classic, what do we have to work with here? We have additional gateways on the way. 2 gateways in the main. We have a gateway at the natural and a gateway across the map. 4 gates alongside Blink, Stalkers. Classic, he wants to turn the tables here on Astrea, despite his greedy economic opener that is leading into what looks to be a 2-base all-in. 2-base all-in here at a Classic. Astrea in the dark. Astrea going to be down in production. He's working on a Robo. I do like this. The Robo will help make up for the lack of Stalkers. Will allow for immortal production. Oh, he's working on a 3rd. No, it's Astrea. He's being greedy here. I mean, he's trying to catch up, but it looks like as he moves out, he does come across a proxy. And the proxy is cancelled. Big moment here for Classic. Astrea can now expand. Likewise, Classic also taking his 3rd as well. A big moment there for Astrea, but oh god. No shield battery at the national. No Stalkers either. The Oracle goes ham. 5 probes go down. Very nice damage done here by Classic. Astrea hurting quite a bit. He's behind when it comes to his 3rd base timing. He's behind when it comes to his workers. He loses 5 more. 3rd base now on the way. And again, Classic did pivot away from his aggression. Does get 5 probe kills here in the natural, though. The Adepts, they go ham. Oh my god. The Adepts, they get a lot of damage here in that natural base. All it takes is 2 Adepts to one-shot workers, and they just went to town in that mineral line. Again, 5 workers did go down. You see Astrea going for a bit of a run-by, a bit of a waddle-by. Does get an extra probe for a Stalker. Not too bad nonetheless, and the game is settling down here. So thanks to those Adepts, thankfully they did kill a lot of workers. Thankfully Astrea is able to catch up in that economy. Ooh, even gets a kill on that Oracle. Does take a stasis to the face, but for the most part was worth it. Did kill the Oracle. I would still give the edge to Classic for the most part, but his lead isn't as large as it once was. Astrea, he's doing a great job here at just, trying to claw his way back into this. We have Immortal production, so even though Astrea is behind when it comes to the overall Stalker count, the Immortals do make up for that. Likewise, we have Forges being thrown down as well to help catch up in upgrades, to help get into 1-1. The downside for Astrea is Charge. Charge is well underway for Classic, and Charge loss can help refine your army and can be a more efficient army than just pure Blink Stalker Immortal. Essentially, Charge loss do an amazing job when it comes to tanking hits from both Immortals and Stalkers. They take a lot of damage, they take a lot of auto attacks to finally bring down. They're just a really great unit to help buffer and help support your army. They do an okay amount of damage, but really they're there to make sure that the Stalkers of Classic, they do hold fast. Stand strong. Okay. As Classic is going to dip on forward. Oh, as we do try to take down that shield, but we take a bit of immortal shots to the face. A bit less than ideal. Classic has to be careful. Cutting barely out of range of that immortal. As he does pull back. And the game is going to continue from here. Both players are looking to expand. We have the 4th base on the way for Classic. 4th soon to be on the way for Astrea. Immortal production continuing. We have those 1-1 upgrades as we did mention. And again, this is going to be a big way for Astrea to take a bit of a lead in those upgrades. Working on 2 upgrades at a time. Something that Classic doesn't have available to him. Prism is on the way. Charge is done. I'm sure we would like to hit a timing with +1. We are moving out. Ooh, and Classic has to be careful to make not to hit an anti-timing. What I mean by that is that Astrea, he's going to be the first to finish up his upgrades. And there we go, 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, we will finish up with 1-1. Classic still a ways off, and if he does commit, he will have that upgrade disadvantage. There we go, +1 armor finishing up in 10 seconds for Astrea as well. Classic pushing towards our 4th base. It is very low. It's going to be cancelled. Ooh, did I say cancelled? It's going to be killed even. That is 400 minerals down the drain. Big pig off there by Classic. Behind this, a couple of adepts, they do shade in. Ooh, with 2 adepts, they do one-shot workers, as we did mention. And we get 4, 5 probes. Up, we get 6, we get 7. We don't commit to the shade, and we just go to town here at the 3rd base. At the same time, Classic, he's committing. He's forcing his way in, does focus on that overcharge. Shield battery does fall. Immortal soon thereafter. The Zelts are going ham. And it looks like Classic may just barely have too much. The Zelt's doing such a great job here at soaking up so many of those shots. Without an overcharge, without a shield battery, Astrea, he's being forced up against the wall. 23 probes go down. And yeah, there is just too much here. GG gets called. Classic does take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Again, Astrea had certain things going his way. You know, he had the armor upgrade, of course. He had additional immortals, had the overcharge, but alas, the mass zealot force there of Classic did amazingly when it came to just supporting his army, buffering for his stalkers, and able to eventually overwhelm the army of Astrea. And yeah, Classic, I mean, he was in the driver's seat for most of that game. Astrea was doing a good job at making it competitive. Like, he was able to claw his way back in at times and able to help stifle the economy. But alas, you know, the size of the army is still what didn't matter at the end. And Classic takes game 1. Does take game number 1. And now we're diving into the rest of the series. Game number 2 going to be taking place on Equilibrium. Oh my god. Bappy. Let's go. Let us go. I thought it was an Elsa cosplay because he's frozen. You're in Hannibal. It's the ice time. Fun fact, I actually haven't seen Frozen. One day I'll get around to it, I'm sure. But here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of Equilibrium, we have our American Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Maturino Esports, down in this series, looking to fight back. It is Astrea. And spawning in the top right-hand corner. We have the red Protoss player representing Twisted Minds. Ooh, leading the series 1-0. It is Classic. Here we go. And again, Classic being one of the best Protoss players in all of Korea, second only to Hero, and is able to flex his skill in game number 1. But we'll see if Astrea can fight back. Again, Equilibrium is an interesting one. I'm a little bit surprised that we're here, to be honest. Equilibrium is one of the most vetoed maps in the map pool, just behind Radisson Station. So for us to engage here is interesting just because of the gold bases. The gold bases add so much more complexity to this. We have, once again, Astrea opening up 2 gateways. 2-gate opener here, and Astrea once again opening up with the Astrea special. What I mean by that, when it comes to maps like this that don't have a ramp leading into the natural, Astrea is the only pro player that consistently does this. Instead of walling off at the ramp, he does actually he creates his SimCity here in his mineral line around his base, making sure he's well fortified, well defended, but he just gives up on trying to hold on to that ramp. Very unique to Astrea, isn't really incorporated by many or any other players, so it's a bit of a signature of his in PvP. Meanwhile, Classic is being greedy, very greedy, going for a gate expand on Equilibrium without a ramp leading into the main. He is asking to be all in. He's trying to do his best MaxPax impression, but even MaxPax dies to all ins at times, so we'll see. We'll see if Classic can hold. We'll see if he can survive. We'll see if he can make it through this early game and get away with this economic build. We'll see if he can get away with it. Here we go. We have our 3rd gateway on the way. So far, the Probe Scout, does not really get eyes on much, actually. I'm a little bit concerned. So Classic, he at least did see the 2-gate opener. The concerning thing here is that Classic saw the 2-gate opener last game. Remember, Astrea, he's going for a 2-gate opener both games in a row. One game, he played economically. The other game, of course, this game, most likely to be going all in. And Classic doesn't know, and yep, Pylon is on the way. 3rd gateway is thrown down. We should be seeing a 4th gateway across the map, and Astrea is going for a 1-base all-in. We'll see if Classic can survive. We'll see if he can hold. Does focus down a probe. Adept is going to be forced out. We do follow this up with a Stargate into a Void Ray. Shield battery is done. Void Ray is on the way. 2nd shield battery in production as we speak. And so far, Astrea is looking quite solid. Now, what's important about this all-in is that, Astrea may opt to go for the gold. He hasn't thrown down a 4th gateway. He has extra money. With that, of course, though, he's going to be warping in across the map. Gets up to 7 Stalkers. It is only 3 gateways for the time being. Astrea containing his opponents, but he needs to bust in. Taking the gold is not going to be good enough. Yeah, the probe does fall. Astrea is committed. Is going for a sentry. Interesting choice. Does push forward. Does threaten that natural. At the same time, Adepts, they try to get across the map. Astrea, likewise, does have a probe here at the forward gold-based location. And we're just amassing more shield batteries, more void rays. I love that we're throwing down a cannon, or sorry, a shield battery in the main as well, just in case it's blink. It isn't, but just in case. Whether it's blink or maybe even a warp prism to juggle into the main, Classic is prepared. He is prepared for it. And the longer this goes on, the better it is for Classic, by the way. He's amassing more probes, he's up on bases, up in economy, building up more void rays. Astrea needs to make something happen sooner rather than later. I do think the best case scenario for Astrea is if Classic moves out, but he shouldn't though. That's the thing. He should be sticking here at home. Look at the units tab. We have, my god, 16 Stalkers here for Astrea. That's an insane amount. We're getting within one-shot range. We can soon one-shot those void rays. We can see Classic being a little bit adventurous. He does get dragged out of position. We're coming in. We're coming in from behind. We're trying to catch out this army outside of range of the shield batteries. And we do end up catching one of those Stalkers. Oh, we get a Void Ray as well. It does get focused down. We get one. We get a Stalker. We get a Void Ray. Cybercore under fire. And we can one-shot those Void Rays. Another one falls. Warp Gate is denied. We're down to 3 Void Rays. And again, Classic, he was punished for exposing himself, for moving out of position. The Stargate taking a lot of damage here. And it is going to be going down. Without a Stargate, what can we make? We can make 1 Immortal at a time. No Warp Gate either. Gateway is going to be going down. And Astrea is snowballing out of control. There's just not enough here to hold. The boys are being pulled. They have to be. And there is a lot of sack defense. There's a lot of cannons. That's true. But not enough Void Rays. There's 1 Void Ray remaining. An Immortal as well. The Force Field. Let's go. Force Field catches the Immortal. We catch the Void Ray as well. No units left. Boys are being pulled. Cannons are putting in a lot of work. They are putting in a lot of work, but we do get a kill on another cannon. Immortal has arrived. We have 1 shield battery remaining. As we just continue to reinforce. We are just continuing the all-in. We still have 15 Stalkers. 15 Stalkers, and it is just too much. This shield battery is going to fall. We're going to have 2 Immortals, which is good, but there's nothing else here. And yeah, these gateways are too late. Like, we needed more production. We need to rebuild the Stargates or throw down more gateways. There it is, another Stargate on the way for Astrea. Not quite for Classic. And Adepts are shading into the mineral line, crippling the economy, pulling apart the army here of Classic. We throw down another force field, getting another Immortal. Ooh, and that does depower the Robo. Oh my god. I was focusing on depowering the gateways, sorry, the cannons, but even the Robo gets depowered. We're down to 2. 2 Immortals, that's all we have. Now we're down to 1. We're down to none. There's nothing else left here for Classic. No production, no units, no army. Pylons are falling one after the other. Astrea, he's losing quite a lot to the cannons, actually. Oh my god. The cannons are going ham. But we get out of range. The cannons are stationary. We focus on the pylons one after the other. And that's all we need to do. Just camp the production. Camp the 1 Robo. And there's just nothing else that Classic has. Again, the main base is barren. There's nothing here. We're throwing down a Cybercore to try to warp in some Stalkers. And GG is going to get called. Astrea, he fights back. He pulls off the 1 base all in. And we tie things up 1-1. GG. Again, Classic being so adamant about just refusing to throw down any more production buildings. You could see there he had 700 gas in the bank. The reason why he had so much gas is because he was spending his resources throwing down cannons more than anything, which is minerals. He wasn't throwing down the Cybercore, another gateway, another Robo, another Stargate. He wasn't able to actually spend his money efficiently. He was only throwing down cannons, and alas, it clearly was not enough. GG, and with that, we're going to the ace match. We're going all the way to game number 3. Here we go. We are getting into that 3rd game, and how will the story end? Who will all in who? And is Classic going to go for another risky build and go for another gate expand? We're here to find out. As we are getting into game number 3 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Solaris, we have our blue Protoss player representing Matcherino Esports. It is Astrea. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss representing Twisted Minds, tying up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. Oh, Astrea forced the ace match, but being forced into the ace match, that's what I meant to say. It is classic. This time with a pylon on the high ground. Classic going for his own gate expand, or his own gateway on the high ground setup. Should be a 2-gate opener from Classic. Meanwhile, Astrea once again throws down his own pylon in the mineral line. As we did mention in that last game, this is very unique to Astrea. He's the only pro gamer that does this consistently, and that is to, instead of setting up a 2-gate opener here at the ramp, he does throw down his buildings in his mineral line, and he creates SimCity around his Nexus instead. It's an interesting choice. I understand the logic here. So the reason for this is that it means that your production isn't exposed. It means that if you do get all in, then your buildings themselves are, you know, a little bit closer to the chest, and they're a little bit safer as well. This is also slightly more efficient. The way this works is that because the buildings are so close to your mineral line, once a probe throws it down, the probe doesn't take long at all to go back to mining. So it is slightly more efficient here. Astrea has slightly more money than his opponent. Meanwhile, Classic goes for a gate expand. Oh my god! He's crazy! Goes for a gate expand once again. 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row, gate expand. It's a different variation from Classic this time, just because the gateway's on the high ground. This does mean that the natural is more exposed. This base is more compromised. But, bold move here at a Classic. Very, very confident play. Is that confidence warranted? Remember, once again, 2-gate opener out of Astrea. Moving out with his Stalkers. Astrea, he's being baited into another all-in. He's being baited in, and the question becomes, does he take the bait? Does he go for it? I mean, it worked last time. Yeah, he's doing it again. He is going for another 1-base all-in. Now, a pylon has been thrown down. This looks like a proxy robo location. Wouldn't be opposed to a robo here or even a gateway. We'll see what we do commit with. For now, 2 gateways back at home. And Astrea will soon throw down his next building. And there it is. Twilight Council. Blink. It's going to be a blink all-in here from Astrea, which means we do need another gateway across the map. Classic does get eyes on the pylon. On at least the pylon, the Stalkers do arrive. They're going to be able to shut down this probe. Probe does fall. Classic slipping out across the map with his 1 adept. There it is, a 3rd gateway here for Astrea. So it's going to be 3 gates for the time being. Looks like he, just like the last game, he may opt to not throw down a 4th gateway. Meanwhile, Classic, he starts working on his Void Ray. Now again, because of this positioning, the first pylon can't really support with cannons, so we did have to throw them down a little bit further back. I said cannons. Shield battery stack defense is what I meant to say. Shield batteries are ready here on the low ground. Again, they are that much more exposed. Like, there's no wall here. The base itself is looking very vulnerable. And the adept has been found. There it is. Blink is on the way, as we did mention. 3 gates in total, 3-gate blink. We have the pylon, but only to reinforce here. So far, not really supporting any additional production buildings. As Classic does push forward. Once again, gets baited out into the open. Not the first time this happened this series. The Void Ray taking a lot of damage already. But we do pull back to the shield battery just in time. Classic needs to calm down. 3 cannons on the way. Now, remember, what's worrisome here is that last game, there was no blink. So Astrea, he committed to a frontal assault. This game, we have blink, which means we can dive into the main. And here in the main base, where's the stack defense? Where are the shield batteries? Where are the cannons? There's nothing here in the main. Classic looking very vulnerable. Now, what's important is that we don't actually have a way to gain high ground vision, not yet. We do need to warp in a sentry. We warp in 1 sentry, we get a hallucination going. We can push in, but despite that, we just dive on top of the army. Oh my god! We trade 1 for 1. 1 Stalker for 1 Void Ray. Well worth it for Astrea. Does bait out the overcharge as well. When it comes to high ground vision, it's either a sentry or even an adept. As Astrea gets in with the probe. Wait, what? Wait, how? Probe does slip in. Stalker's pushing on forward. Does focus down some of the cannons. Pylon did complete, and Astrea, he is going for it. Yeah, he's going for it. I mean, again, the probe somehow made it through the army. High ground vision is there, and we do dive on in. We blink into the main. There's no shield batteries. There is a shield battery here in between the bases, at least. But not out deeper into the main. Void Ray goes down. We get 1. We get 2. We're going to get 3 as well in Classic. He has nothing left. Only cannons and shield batteries, and the main base is so exposed. Astrea, he takes control of the main base. The boys are being pulled. Everything is going to be going down. And Astrea, it looks like he has done it. GG gets called. Astrea takes the series 2-1. GG. Taking down Classic. He takes down Classic 2-1 and does advance on into the semifinals. Classic being so greedy here this series. Now, we have seen Classic go gate expand. We've seen Hero do it as well. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, about how some of the Korean protostars have adopted Max Pax's style. But even this was a little bit cheekier, a little bit greedier here to throw down his wall on the ramp. You could also see the big disadvantage of that as well. One, because all your production and your defenses aren't centralized, they're that much more exposed. They're that much more spread out, and again, that gateway, that Stargate, the Robo, that all should have been on the low ground, covered by shield batteries and cannons, as well as the main army. Again, the cannons and shield batteries are covering the Nexus, the natural base, not the production. It was all exposed. That was the win condition there for Astrea to take control of the main base, take control of the production, take control of the game, and take control of Classic. GG. GG, very well done. Again, Classic being a little bit overly greedy here against Astrea. Maybe overconfidence. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, to be honest. We have seen Classic be a little bit cheeky at times with some overconfident play before, and we'll see if the next time they face off, Classic once again goes for these greedy builds, or if he respects Astrea a little bit more and goes 2-gate instead. I'm curious. Regardless, congratulations to Astrea. Does bring down one of the best protostars in South Korea, and the PvPs will be continuing. Astrea makes it to the semifinals, but we have some more quarterfinals matches to dive into. Up next, Nightmare versus Creator. Let's go.